Republicans running for president don't know what to do about it. The Democrats running for president don't know what to do about it. So who do we turn to deal with the issue of undocumented people among us? Artists such as Julio Salgado. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on the show.
So tell me, what is Artist on the Edge about? Or Artist on the Edge of Law, I apologize.
Right. It's a show at Somewhere's Cultural Center here in San Francisco. And pretty much the basis of the point of the show is to showcase artists that are seen as criminals in the eyes of this government, and how we've used art to sort of deal with this issues. I particularly I focus on the issue being undocumented in this country. I'm undocumented, and I've sort of turned to art and to deal with these issues because politicians they're
why on earth would an undocumented person be on a TV show?
Right. It's about coming out of the shadows. A lot of in the past few years, a lot of activists, undocumented activists, have decided to come out of the shadows to put a face on the issue. A lot of the times, when you would read an article, see an interview, you would see a hidden face or an anonymous name, and so that would dehumanize, the issue. And so by us coming out and saying we're undocumented and unafraid, we put a face to it. And yes, we're taking a big risk, but it's a must, because by not doing this, we are allowing others to criminalize us for something that we for survival. People migrate to this country in order to survive, and so people shouldn't be criminalized for that.
So tell me your path to this TV studio today.
My path.
How'd you get here? When did you cross the border?
I crossed the border. My parents, we moved here a couple of years ago in 1995. My sister was really sick. Our country, unfortunately, didn't have the technology to
Mexico, correct?
Mexico, from Mexico, and this country, saved my sister's life. And it was doctors who suggested that we stay here because if we went back to our country, my sister was going to die. And so, any parent who is faced with this challenge, it's not going to care about any borders or any visas or any paperwork, because you have to save your child's life. And so a lot of the times we criminalize our parents because they're like, oh, it was my parents' fault that I'm here. Well, no, I'm here because my parents are courageous and responsible. They had to take care of their child, and so we came here.
Right, and how's your sister now?
My sister's great. My sister is alive. She is 23 years old.
And how old are you?
I'm 28. So it's been a while.
And your parents?
My parents' age? They're 51. Yeah, 50, 51. Yeah.
And are they still here in this country?
They're still here in this country.
And are they undocumented?
They are in the process of fixing their status. That's another issue right there. So when you pass a certain age, I wasn't a minor anymore, and so for my parents to, now I have to figure out a way to, make myself, figure out my status in this country. So they're doing it on their own, and so because I don't, I'm over age, I have to figure out on my own. So there's a process. That's what we're trying to fix with this whole movement. We're trying to figure out a way to fix this broken immigration system. And because we talk about do it the legal way, there's really no legal way to do it because our immigration system is so broken. People who try to fix their status from back in their country, it could take up to 10, 15 years. It could take years.
So what is it like every day just trying to get a job and work and eat and pay rent?
It's a big challenge. It took me 8.5 years to finish college, just because I don't qualify for financial aid and all the all the things that will make it easier. But I really wanted to get myself an education because I always felt that with education I was going to be able to do something with my life. While in the process I was doing I was washing dishes, doing construction work, and art. And so I think art always I always found it was like my where I found refuge. That's what saved me from I don't know, going crazy and sort of dealing with this issue that doesn't define me. You know, it doesn't define me as a person. It's just a little thing in my life that, sure, it was a little bumpy on the road to, you know, get a college degree, but I did it, and that's something that nobody can take away from me.
So tell me about the group of artists that work as part of this collaborative, and what is it that we actually see? This isn't work on stage, or is it partly on stage? Is it partly on walls? Is it partly on video?
It's a little bit of everything. We have performance art. I'm going to be showing some posters that I've done, you know, for the past few years. I actually studied journalism in college. I have a degree in journalism, and so one of the things that you do, as a journalist, you're supposed to document stories. And so I use my art to document a lot of the key individuals that have, you know, been at the forefront of this movement. A lot of them are young queer folks, folks who, you know, we know what it's like to come out of the closet. And so,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
And so I think you know, so, you know, I started doing a lot of poster work that just went viral, and like people started using them online and using it for their own, you know, if they protest or whatever, they would use the posters. So.
Yeah, it just the reason I was smiling was, I don't know why it popped into my mind, but there was a show in the 1980s on Comedy Central called Kids in the Hall, and there was this very funny character who always would talk about his difficult life. He was in Toronto, and he would say, you know, it's hard enough being gay. Imagine being gay and Canadian. I mean, it's difficult enough being an undocumented person living in this country. What is it like being, as you say, undocumented and queer?
You know what? I laugh. I think that humor is it's another way of the way that we've sort of dealt with this. Some of the videos that we're going to be showing at the show at Some Arts, we created a series online called Undocumented and Awkward, and we feature them on our website called Dreamers Adrift, and dreamersadrift.com. And so on the videos, we sort of show certain instances from dealing with trying to go to a club and, you know, showing your ID. And the bouncer, it's going to look at the ID and it's like, what is this? And, you know, I have a Mexican ID that, you know, that I got from the Mexican consulate because I can't get a California ID. And so it could be an awkward situation where your friends are like, wait, what's going on? So you have to explain, like, well, I'm undocumented. I don't, you know, and so it's an awkward situation.
So did they let you in for a drink or not?
Excuse me?
Did they let you in for a drink or not?
Sometimes. You know what? Queer clubs are more bound to let you in than heterosexual clubs. I found that really interesting that, you know, I get more, you know, it's interesting how, you know, people don't really, you know, like, well, no, you know, I guess our community is more open to let, you know, when you're out of the norm or whatever. Right. But you know, and so we try to depict those scenarios that could be, you know, an awkward situation. And so I think that by doing so, we are using humor and we are taking charge of the narrative that is being put out there about being who an undocumented person is and what deals with it.
What do your parents think of all this?
My mom is like, can you not get arrested? They worry, you know, because.
And I assume you're out to them since you're on a TV show.
Yes, I'm out to them. I think that our parents come from a generation where they were always told, do not say anything, don't tell anybody you're undocumented. That's just how it is. And so this whole new generation of younger, you know, activists are totally doing the opposite and saying I'm undocumented. Some students getting arrested in Alabama. They recently did a sit-in and they got arrested. And so I think,
which means they could possibly be deported.
They could possibly be deported. But by doing so, I think they're following the tradition of civil disobedience, and I think that this creates it's another form of performance art. If you think about it, they're putting a face. There's media on it. They're covering it, and so people start wondering, wait, why are they doing this? Why is it that kids have the need? Because I feel like they're kids. I'm 28 and they're still college students, and I feel like they're kids, but they're in a whole different mindset of brave, being brave. And,
so do you consider what you're doing to be brave, or are you scared? Are you afraid one day the INS is going to knock on your door?
Sure. I mean, it's in my mind, but I think that by creating this movement, by people doing what they're doing, I feel I have a community behind me, and I think it's really important that we intersect the issue of being undocumented and being queer, because both communities have a lot of people who hate us. You know, we have a lot of people who don't like us because of who we are. There are laws, you know, that, you know, have made our lives a little bit different, and, you know, criminalize us at times. And so I think it's really important that we come together, and so I think some of us who are the intersection of those issues, that we speak on behalf of both communities.
Now, you say you got your degree in journalism.
Yes.
So are you going on into journalism or politics or activism, or this new amalgam of everything?
What is it, right?
Yeah.
I think I try to do a little bit, but when I was in college, I did a lot of editorial cartoons, and I think that's how I began to politicize myself. I did a lot of writing, so I do now. You know, I do both. I write for our website, dreamersofdrift.com. And I mix the art because I think it's really, again, important that we are the ones who write our stories. A lot of the times when you read articles, well, how are we being called? We're called illegal immigrants. You know, what is that word? What does it mean, being illegal? Again, another dehumanizing word that it makes it okay for others to hate us, and at times it can become a physical thing where people, you know, go around and, you know, can harm you for being undocumented. So.
Well, I was taught that art is the revelation of public truth in public, so thanks for sharing this with us.
Thank you very much.
We've been speaking with Julio Salgado, using art to teach about immigration rights. I'm David Perry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 10%.